one of the reasons I'm so disinclined about talking about stages of awakening and having insights seem like something that happens later, and progression, and what happens after life, what happens before life, and what past lives are about. The reason I'm disinclined to talk about all that is because it usually just gets structured in the mind in a way that it isn't. It's just not like that. Like you're not, the more you wake up, the more satisfied you are with how things are at every level. And the less inclined we are to think about other realms of any kind.
Huh.
And we see, at least I did, I can speak from my own experience. I can see that my concerns about those kinds of things, what will happen later, what if it's all for naught? What if I'm putting my energy, these are all forms of what if I'm putting my energy in the wrong direction, right? And what if this is all a lie, et cetera? Those are usually completely uprooted and sort of flipped over with that first shift, with Kensho awakening. The way we were trying to put reality together with the mind was continuing to divide it. And that's what's fundamentally uncomfortable and unsettling. For instance, dividing it into heaven and hell, past and future, this life, next life, my life, your life. In a conventional way, you don't need to overlook that. Of course, you have your challenges, I have mine. We all have different sets of circumstances. But when you realize the other side of things, and you have to realize the other side of things for this process to play out, then that relative doesn't feel so real. It's not that it's not real at all. It's just that it's our mind has a completely unbalanced view of reality. When you see the other side of reality, when you experience and wake up to the other side of reality, suddenly the relative is so softened. It's like, wow, it doesn't really matter what realm I'm in. It doesn't really matter what the circumstances and conditions are, because there's something here that's so profoundly and fundamentally okay that's when the perspective really shifts. Your perspective on reality, on life, on yourself, shifts in a way that is so surprising, because it's a fundamental knowing of okayness. As what we talk about, deepening of realization or stages or all this stuff, you really got to hold that stuff loosely. But what it really means is that's as we tend towards the absolute. Once we realize it, we want to just sort of live there because it's so wonderful in a sense. But it's also, there can be an escape to it if we try to experience it in exclusion of the relative. So then it's about kind of finding your way back and forth between relative and absolute until they really come into a cohesive unity. You could describe the stages of realization in that way as well. And then life it just becomes deeply satisfying and enjoyable. And these questions just don't come. You have a very deep instinctual trust in the way everything moves, and a knowledge that goes so far beyond intellectual knowledge that you won't have those concerns. It's just one of those things that sometimes you got to do it on trust a little bit, that, what will happen after awakening, you can't know it. You just can't know it, but you can wake up. So sometimes it's a matter of total it's an instinctual leap. That's why we talk about the leap and the stepping into the unknown, because you have to be willing to go into the unknown. It's kind of nuts. Like, it doesn't make sense logically. Why would I do that if I don't even know what's there? Logically, it doesn't make sense. But if you've been here for 2 days, there's a part of you that definitely understands this, that senses it. And sometimes you have to kind of jockey position with those two things, with the mind that's going, what am I doing? This is nuts. Why am I wasting my time with this stuff? And then the part of you that's like, oh no, I can feel this. Yeah, there's something here that wants to come forward. Well, what happens is it's like this, and then all of a sudden that comes forward so much that it literally just, it obliterates the sense of being a separate, isolated, struggling, managing self. And it's just like everything moving together. When everything moves together as one, there's nothing to struggle with. There's nothing to push or pull on. There's nothing losing. There's not a winner and a loser. It's unity. It's fluidity. But again, these words are fall so short of what it actually is. So sometimes it just comes to that place of trust your deepest instinct, even if your thoughts are telling you it doesn't make sense.